So, Michael, is there any possibility they'll find a replacement for oil still?
I don't think there'll ever be a full replacement of it. I think that nuclear, obviously, going down the road will take up a lot of the electricity, as far as on that. But as far as petroleum products, and of course, natural gas is still the cleanest burning fuel that we have out there, and we've got a tremendous amount of natural gas here in the U.S. and that a lot of times, they don't even have the pipelines to move it. So we've got to add that infrastructure in order to bring in more pipelines. But we're really blessed here in this country with as much oil as we do have.
Hello, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, broadcasting from Arizona, Phoenix, where it's either heaven or hell. And right now, it's heaven. It's as perfect as it can get. So today we have a kind of interesting show because I have a friend. I flew with him in Vietnam together off of a carrier, and he's now a congressman in Washington, D.C. And he says Congress is going nuts with the Trump derangement syndrome. They said, what is that guy up to? And so he's going to annex Greenland and then Canada. He's pissing everybody off. He's going to take Greenland from Denmark or something like this, and he calls it the Gulf of America now. And he said, Congress is going nuts. Trump derangement syndrome. So I thought we'd add to the mess here. We have two Rich Dad advisors. One is Michael Mauceli. He's an oil man. So for full disclosure, I invest with Michael for oil because there's so many tax advantages to oil and stuff like this. And it's always used. It's like silver, not like gold. And the other is my friend Fernando. He is from Peru. And I've been to Peru to climb to the mountaintop looking for gold, oro. And it was very interesting being in Peru, Fernando, because Shining Path was there. And Shining Path was a communist organization. Now he's mayor of New York City. So anyway, what a country we live in. But I remember standing on the mountaintop in Peru, in the Andes, there's little holes being drilled. What the heck's that? And I'm at 17,000 feet. I couldn't even breathe. And it's years and years and years ago, the indigenous people of Peru were drilling for gold. So thousands of years ago, they knew gold was worth something. And I was going there to buy a gold mine, and they didn't buy one. But Fernando's going to give the so-called the Latin point of view on Trump derangement syndrome, because he's from Peru and he's Trump's bombing Venezuela and whacking all those gunboats and and Mike Mauceli is an oil man, and he's going to take that oil. So, but I also suspect, and Michael's going to verify this or not, that oil was supposed to go to China from Venezuela. So Trump wants to knock off there. That's my opinion. I have no proof of that. But it's Trump derangement time syndrome. I've written 2 books with the man here. It's a good friend of mine, Why I Want People to Be Rich and The Midas Touch. I think he's entertaining, if nothing else. He's more entertaining than when he was on The Apprentice. You're fired. Take over Greenland. I mean, give me a break. And he's bombing Venezuela. And he's now going into where is he? Anyway, that guy's all over the place. So, Michael, as an oil man, how much oil is in Venezuela?
Well, Robert, thanks for having me on the show today. And I think there's about 280 billion barrels to 300 billion barrels, which is probably the number one oil reserves in the world. I think out of the 14 fields that Venezuela has, about 11 of them still has over 50 to 60% of their remaining reserves. And so there's a lot of oil there to be produced. As far as on that, it is a heavier crude. But the good thing about it is most of our refineries were set up originally to handle heavy crude, because here in the United States, we have, most of our oil is a very light crude, so they take that crude and they blend it with the heavy crude, which extends our reserves. So, you can certainly see why Trump wanted to go after Venezuela. Obviously, going after the oil, and what better deal for Trump than try to control the most oil reserves in the world, right?
So, Michael, are you in line to take over to start drilling in Venezuela?
Well, I have drilled in Argentina, and I had a concession in Argentina, which we sold to Shell Oil back in the early 2000s. So I love doing business in South America. I have looked at some deals in Venezuela a long time ago, and it's there's a lot of opportunity there. So it just depends on what's going to happen with the government and what kind of assurities you're going to get, right?
Yeah. And how much truth do you think it is that Trump wants to cut the oil from China off, Venezuela to China? Is that possible, or is that just rumor?
Well, I think that's one of the main reasons why Trump wanted the oil in Venezuela. I mean, he did something very similar with the canal and in Central America. And so he is trying to push, China out of our continent, and I think he has an ulterior motive about getting Cuba back as well. So, Cuba. I think he's trying to control both sides of the continent there.
Yeah, it's like I said, we shouldn't be laughing, but there's something entertaining about that guy. Trump derangement syndrome. So Mr. Fernando, hola, and you're from Peru, and I brought you. I'll be seeing you at Mar-a-Lago in a few weeks at Trump's place there. And so, what do you think the South American or the Latin point of view is on Trump whacking Venezuela?
Thank you, Robert, for having us. I think that is amazing because the number one thing is that Venezuela is recovering their freedom. They had for 28 years a dictator in place. The average salary in Venezuela is $4 per month. However, Switzerland government just found 113 tons of gold in Maduro's personal bank account. We are talking about $5 billion. And the people from Venezuela was eating from the garbage with $4 a month, and this guy was stealing the gold, the silver, the minerals, and send it to China, to Russia. They have also Hezbollah, which is an enemy with USA inside their territory. So we believe it's going to bring a lot of stability in the region. It's going to be amazing. We are celebrating this, and we see Mr. President Donald Trump as a true hero, recovering the freedom for the Venezuela people.
So you guys are happy he's getting rid of dictators, right? It was Maduro was one, and who was the dictator before him?
Before him was Chavez for 20 years, almost 20 years. And between Chavez and Maduro, 28 years sucking the money from the country, talking about socialism, communism. And this is going to have also, Robert, the ripple effect, because next is Cuba, then Nicaragua. Many great things happening at the same time.
The Trump derangement syndrome, and I just think it's a Denmark that claims they own Greenland, and they're all up in arms with him. And like I said, my friend Jack Bergman, Fernando, who will be in Mar-a-Lago with us next 2 weeks from now, congressman, he says, Congress is going nuts. They hate the guy. He's become like almost a dictator, but I think he's a stand-up comedian personally. It's so funny. So I just thought it was impressive too. Like Fernando is a graduate of the Peruvian Naval Academy, and that strike they put into Venezuela was precision. I was watching the actions, and it was all the elite of the elite went in. There was like a surgical removal of Maduro, right? He's gone, and his wife. And if that, our military is so freaking strong. Do you know what I mean? It's well disciplined, the best of the best. It's like Navy SEALs going in and taking some guy out. So I thought that was pretty impressive. So how do you think the Venezuela people feel? Are they happy that Maduro's gone?
Well, it was initially they were scary because they see all the bombing happening around, but it was not in the city. It was very precise in the military bases. And then when they saw the Apache helicopters going to the city, they understood that it was an instruction just to remove from the power to President Maduro. So everything started at 2 a.m. And it was a change of celebration in the whole Latin America because it was like a happy new year. Everybody drinking on the streets because Maduro was removing from power.
Wow. Interesting.
And also, Robert,
so let me ask you this.
We have to take this in consideration. In 1920s, a key player was Exxon. ExxonMobil invested $767 million in Venezuela. The money went into pipelines, refineries, and infrastructure.
Right.
And then when Chavez took the power, he kicked off all the American companies and steal all the oil. So this is a kind of payback.
Yeah. And by the way, it's what's war about? It's about oil. Because I went to tours in Vietnam, and they don't ever say this, but Occidental Petroleum was in there, Arm & Hammer's company. And Vietnam is loaded with oil. So they want to make sure China didn't get it. So that's kind of one of the causes of Vietnam out there. So it's always about the oil, right, Mike?
That's correct. And in fact, when Chavez took over, I think he kicked Conoco out, and then Conoco sued, the Venezuelan government, and ended up with the Venezuelan government still owns Conoco over $8 billion. And that was one of the things they were talking about. So, the Americans, they've spent a lot of money in we here in the United States and in South America, especially in Venezuela. And so I think we can ramp up production there pretty fast from what the president of Chevron was saying. They've been on the ground there. They're the only company that's been able to continue to operate there. But they're saying that they can increase production by about 50% within the next couple of years. So there's a great opportunity in Venezuela and other parts of South America that I think this is just going to have a ripple effect. And Fernando can probably talk more about that than I can. But as far as for the oil business in the U.S. and in South America.
And also, Mike, last week, this administration decided to invest in Peruvian Navy $1 billion in the warships, modernizing the Navy base. So it's going to be amazing. It's not only Venezuela, it's also Peru, different countries where President Trump is recovering the Americas, because we don't understand why Russia, Iran, Chinese people were inside Venezuela. This is South America. So President Trump make a strategic decision to get back to South America, is part of the Americas, leading that.
Yeah, and like we're talking about here, Trump derangement syndrome, 2 books with a boy. I think is entertainment, but depends on your point of view out there. And there's one more thing we haven't mentioned so far is he's crushing Iran right now. And Iran is loaded with oil too, right, Mike?
That's correct. I mean, I think they're the number 3 producer. So hand it to Trump. He's going to go after the number 1 producer and the number 3 producer.
Plus Greenland and Canada.
Yeah, plus Greenland.
So we come back. I don't know if we should be laughing or not, but what a character we have for a president. I mean, He may not go down as the greatest president, but he'll go around the most entertaining. So we'll come back with a final word summary about what we can do, how we profit from all this, and what does it mean to have President Trump out there whacking Venezuela, Iran, and wherever else. Is he going to take Cuba and then Greenland? What else is he going to do? He's just playing a monopoly on a world scale. We'll be right back.
If you've heard my earlier message, here's the part most people miss. Silver does not move because of headlines, it moves because of cycles. For years, silver was ignored, underpriced, held down so the system could function. Then confidence started to crack. Debt grows, currency weakens, central banks expand. That is when silver reprices, not slowly, all at once. That is why silver is now over $80 an ounce. People ask, is it too late? That question always shows up after denial ends. I've been buying silver since 1965. I bought more recently, and I still buy with discipline. Not chasing prices, understanding cycles. That is why I tell people to learn before they act. Priority Gold created a free Rich Dad Silver Guide. It explains why silver is moving and how physical silver can be held inside an IRA or 401k, tax and penalty free when done correctly. Call 866-703-9895. That's 866-703-9895. Or open a text message, type guide, and send it to 24999. Think for yourself. Cycles repeat. Silver tells the truth. Again, text guide to 24999 to get your free Rich Dad Silver Guide.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. Our guest today, our Rich Dad advisors, Michael Mauceli. For full disclosure, I invest with Michael. We make a lot of money together investing in oil in the United States. And Mike is a hardcore oil man. And Fernando Gonzalez is a graduate of Peruvian Naval Academy. And when he and I are meeting on February 12th in Mar-a-Lago, Trump's place, I'm being inducted as the head veteran or something. And I thought my friends were all kidding me. They're going to induct me as a lead veteran in America. I'm going, Jesus, me? This is our friend here. I've been to Mar-a-Lago many times. It's worth seeing. And like I said, my other friend, we're being together because of the veterans. And Jack Bergman, he's now Congressman Jack Bergman. He and I flew together off of Vietnam. As we were talking about, the rumor was the reason we were in Vietnam was because Arm & Hammer was Occidental Petroleum. Said there was oil in Vietnam. And they'll make sure China didn't get it. So it's possible, I'm not saying it's true, that Trump doesn't want China to get Venezuela's oil. And it's also possible he's whacking Iran right now because Iran's a big oil producer. But one of the funniest things I heard years and years ago, because I'm an oil man also, I used to work for Standard Oil, driving oil tankers up and down the coast, across the Pacific. And they talked about how Golda Meir, who was the prime minister of Israel, she says, that damn Moses, he led us into the desert, 40 years and 40 nights or whatever. Moses led them into the desert and beat the Jews up and all this stuff. And he picked out the only piece of land in that desert with no oil. So she's pissed at Moses not staking a claim in oil also out there. Oil is the lifeblood of the economy. Without oil, there's no civilization. And I think so we can laugh about all this stuff, but there seems to be a method to Trump's madness here. So Moses led people to the promised land, but there's no oil in it. Anyway, so Michael, would you stand in line to go into Venezuela or not?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've done business in South America before. So, Venezuela, of course, there has to be a lot of changes there, but they have some great opportunities throughout Colombia as well, and, different areas. So when we, of course, were in Argentina, we, the country was going through not a similar situation. Yeah. I mean, through socialism and stuff, but the people were great. They enjoyed us being there. We made a lot of money there, so we were very, very pleased with South America, doing business there, and I'd like to get back again.
So you were drilling in Argentina?
Yeah, we had a 2 million acre concession up in the northwestern basin of Argentina, and we drilled the fourth deepest discovery in the country. There made a huge discovery, a natural gas well, and Shell had a pipeline in Bolivia. We were right on the Argentine-Bolivian border, and so they needed the gas for their pipeline, so they bought us out, and that was our exit strategy. And of course, shortly after that, the peso collapsed. It wasn't that we were smart; we were just lucky, and got out. And like I said, we made some really nice money there.
Yeah, I was in Argentina also. It's an interesting place.
Yeah, it really is.
So, Fernando, I think it's interesting you say that Venezuelans are happy, but the dictators are gone. So you had Chavez and now Maduro.
Yes, Robert,
Do you think
we have to have in consideration that 8 million of people migrate from Venezuela because of the dictatorship. 8 million is the biggest
right?
migration in the modern history.
I remember that because I was talking to this guy. He says the most beautiful women come from Venezuela, and it said there was really a bonus because they all came to America. I don't know if that's true or not, but there's always a slow, you know. So I think it's an interesting point of view that they're happy that the dictators are gone.
Yes.
And that's an interesting point of view.
You can ask to Venezuela,
So-
Robert, that question if they are happy. I will say 95% of the people are happier. The only ones that are not happier were the people stealing the money from the people from the rest of the people, stealing the gold, stealing the silver, keeping the people in poverty. They are not happy because they are losing everything, and then now they are going to be in jail with the boyfriend in jail. It's a different game. The game is changing very fast. So we are so excited because of that.
And I was in Argentina. I was, I'm going to a commercial message here. I'll be at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference in Vancouver, January 25th to 26th. Boy, it's coming right around the corner. And the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference is for people like me. I was a silver miner, and we struck silver in Argentina. And we thought we had struck it rich and all that stuff. But then a company called Yamana bought us out, so I was out of Argentina. But the point I'm making here, as an investor, you don't find me investing in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. I invest in resources. I like oil because oil is the lifeblood of civilization. That's what you got to have. So that's why I invest, for full disclosure with Mike, of REI Energy. And gold and silver are money. And as you may have, silver could be the biggest investment of all today because it's catching up to gold in price. And when silver breaks 100, my prediction is, I could be wrong, it's going to go to 200 right away. So I remember in 1990, you could buy silver for $5 an ounce, and possibly in 2027, it'll be 200 an ounce. So I invest in resources because I like something I can see, touch, and feel. I invest in real estate I can see, touch, and feel. And I was investing in cattle. I can see, touch, and feel it. You can keep your Warren Buffett paper and bonds and all that stuff. I just don't trust paper. I like hardcore resources. So, Michael, is there any possibility they'll find a replacement for oil still?
Well, I don't think they'll find a replacement for oil because over 6,000 products are made out of oil. It's just, when most people think about oil, they think about gasoline or something like that. But as far as lubricants, jet fuel, different types of fuels, so I don't think there'll ever be a full replacement of it. I think that nuclear, obviously, going down the road will take up a lot of the electricity, as far as on that. But as far as petroleum products, and of course, natural gas is still the cleanest burning fuel that we have out there. And we've got a tremendous amount of natural gas here in the U.S. And and that a lot of times, they don't even have the pipelines to move it. So we've got to add that infrastructure in order to bring in more pipelines. But we're really blessed here in this country with as much oil as we do have.
Yeah. Again, I'll be at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference talking about investing in metals and all this. But there's one thing important about oil and natural gas: AI. Artificial intelligence sucks a lot of energy. So I was talking to Michael about wherever they put up an AI power plant or a facility, they've got to have a lot of natural gas or oil or coal or something. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah, that's why you see a lot of these new these AI power plants, not power plants, but the AI plants being built in West Texas, where they have a easy access to a lot of natural gas and oil in order to generate that power. And I think Trump's come out and said that, they're not going to put more money into the grid. So these AI factories are going to have to supply their own power. So that's why you see a lot of them looking for places where, natural gas is abundant in order to generate that electricity.
The other thing that happened is that Germany and a couple of European countries, the greenies took over. And they wanted to get away from oil and natural gas and all this. And they couldn't do it, and it sent the cost of production up. So because their cost of energy is so high and so inefficient, that they can't produce Volkswagens and Mercedes and all this stuff. So I'll say it again, civilization runs on energy, oil. And all these greenies want to get rid of it. Well, maybe in the future. Or they want to go nuclear. The only trouble with nuclear is nuclear waste. The half-life is 10,000 years. It means what we're burning today in nuclear is going to be here for 10,000 years, and it's still toxic. So all these guys are saying that nuclear is the clean energy. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay. So Fernando. So when you look at the country of Peru, you guys have lots of silver too.
Gold and silver, yes, Robert. Yes, we are a mining country. There is a lot of opportunities. Also, when you were talking, Robert, about Venezuela and what is happening, there is a lot of opportunities coming, not only for the oil industry, because they don't have expressways, they don't have a lot of things that they need to rebuild the city. So it's going to be a lot of opportunities in South America. Peru is the number 2 producer of gold, actually. A lot of silver too, oil, but combining that strength from the whole South America, united with USA, under the President Trump leadership, I think is going to be amazing, and it's happening.
Yeah. So would you take a moment, Fernando, to explain to the world, because most Americans never heard of them, who was Shining Path?
Well, they were terrorist people that were educated in China, and China, Russia, and Cuba. They have a goal to take the power through the arms, with the military power that they have in their place, terrorizing people and putting the country in their knees. We didn't have any international business, any franchise, because of the terrorist people. The average salary in Peru was about $50, $75. The economy was completely down until President Fujimori took the power and started to fight back the terrorist people. But it was really a disaster in the history of Peru, because it was for 12
Shining Path
years.
was basically a terrorist organization.
12 years and 100
Shining Path was a
people
terrorist
died.
organization. But yeah, it was terrifying. Mike, I was out there looking for gold in Peru, and they put satchel charges onto these power lines.
Oh, wow.
And I was in Lima, and the place was terrified because Shining Path was roaming the streets. So I've been all over the world. I went to Mongolia, a place called the Checkerboard, looking for gold out there. And it's interesting that, resources, hard assets, gold, silver, oil, I still invest in that. And people say, well, bonds are safe. There's no such thing as safe. Japan and China right now are dumping the U.S. bond because our national debt is through the roof.
Yes.
So all these people say, oh, yeah, like financial planners are saying, well, bonds are safe. They're lying to you. They're lying to you. That's what bugs me. So I'd rather invest in hard assets like cattle and oil and food. And I have one friend who started with 10 chickens, and now he sells, I think, he sells 1.8 million eggs a day. That's egg flow, you know what I mean? I said, I should invest in chickens also. And the reason I bring all this up is because the S&P 500 is what most Americans have their 401ks in. And silver went up 140%. S&P didn't go up. So for those of you who are looking at making money, since 1965, I've been a hard assets guy. 1965, I held up a little silver dollar like this here, and it was no longer made of silver. It was made of copper. And so ever since then, I became hard assets. I made fortunes in gold, silver, oil, no chickens yet, but cattle. So there's a lot of ways you can make money and all that. So it's a really interesting time. So a final word, Michael, on oil, because like I said, AI is going to need energy like crazy. So I was talking to you about.
We're excited in our business. I mean, we've got a lot of opportunity here in the U.S. and it's going to be a really good time. And I think Trump is, he has a reason behind what he's doing, and that is trying to control, the major energy sources in the world. So I hope he does it.
Well, Iran is going to shift over.
Yeah.
Iran has a lot of oil. It's like I'll repeat that old joke. Golda Meir says, Moses took the only part of the desert that had no oil. so it's Israel. Fernando, final words on Trump and what you think about what's happening in the world.
Thank you, Robert, for having us. And I believe it's an amazing time for Venezuela to recover their freedom, also for having South America as a stronger continent with freedom. And it's amazing what also 2025 Nobel Peace Prize Maria Corina Machado is working with President Trump to lead the country. And I feel very optimistic about the transformation from South America and the opportunities coming in the near future.
Yeah. So our point is that the Rich Dad Radio Show is that the good news and bad news about money. The good news is if you're into hard assets or assets like oil that are burning up and silver that's burning up, you'll always be okay. But if you just drink the Kool-Aid and say, well, mutual funds and bonds and all that, you might not be okay. But the world runs on energy and gold and silver and chicken eggs. And you can make a fortune if you're into hard assets. So anyway, well, thank you all. Thank you guys. And when we come back, we're finishing up this whole thing. But, viva Peru.
Viva Venezuela Libre.
Yeah. And
thank
Michael, tell us about REI Energy and for full disclosure.
Yeah, so you can find us at www.reinenergy.com. We have a number of drilling opportunities that we do every year. We probably participate in, we've participated in well over 1,000 wells in the Bakken to date. We've participated in almost 200 wells in northeastern Oklahoma in the last couple of years. So we try to diversify our interest between natural gas and oil, leaning more towards natural gas right now because, as you said, Robert, all the AI facilities that are being built out there. So we're excited about the future.
Yeah. There's always a way to make money and all that. So anyway, it's a great time to be alive. And I thank you, gentlemen. And Fernando, I'll see you at Mar-a-Lago on February 12th at Trump's Palace. And
looking forward to it.
We'll be right back. Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki. I want to thank Michael Mauceli and Fernando Gonzalez. Again, this is January 2026. It's important because things are changing very fast. The investment that Mike Mauceli was talking about, you look at the Rich Dad board game here, they're fast track investments. If you're in the rat race, you can't invest with Mike. But if you're accredited, you can invest out here. So his investments are not for everybody. For full disclosure, that's why I invest with him. I get huge tax breaks. I get my checks every month. I like it. And then I'll be in the VRIC, Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, January 25th to 26th in Vancouver. I'll be speaking on oil, and I mean gold and silver. I drilled a gold mine in China, and they nationalized it. So I don't kind of blame Trump for taking over China or knocking out their oil. And the Chinese have some huge atrocities to their names, like they have organ harvesting, where if you need a heart, they kill the Uyghur or a political adversary. They just kill them, take the heart. So the Chinese are fairly interesting people. And let's hope we don't go to war with them. I'll also be in Charlotte, North Carolina, February 3rd with the Aspire Tour, Charlotte, North Carolina, February 3rd, Aspire, A-S-P-I-R-E. And I'll be there in person, not the AI of me, but the real me. And I think this is a very good time in the world because we're in serious financial trouble. The debt is through the roof. We're the biggest debtor nation in world history. But you don't have to be one of them. If you understand what hard resources are, like my friend who sells 1.8 million eggs a day, he's a rich man. So thank you all for watching the Rich Dad Radio Show. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to Fernando. And let's go out and get richer in a world that's going to pieces with debt. Thank you.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.